blood sepsis. Metabolic, I think metabolic, right? Because it doesn't, okay, so now, and then I will choose, is it acidosis or alkalosis? Metabolic acidosis, okay. If it's metabolic acidosis, it can compensate by metabolic alkalosis, right? So then the answer is metabolic alkalosis. Okay? It's possible that, so it says which of the following is the least likely. Okay? So I know it will be met acidosis. Maybe it can be combined met acidosis and respiratory acidosis, or if the respiratory is working, they can compensate, but it's definitely not going to be met alkalosis. The kidney cannot compensate for itself. When the kidney is not working, the lungs compensate. When the lung is not working, the kidney compensates. When they both fail, that's when we come in and give them drugs. Okay? Anything else? What else? That was the, anything else? Any other question? Any besides metabolic alkalosis, just know metabolic alkalosis is either drug induced. When we're treating the patients, maybe we gave them too much bicarb, that's very possible. When you're like overzealous, you want to treat the patient, and that's why you keep checking the ABG. If you gave them too much, it's just not a good picture, right? So we always have to be careful. Also, met-alkalosis is diet-induced. Very, very rare do you have a patient come in met-alkalosis that's just a sickness. Doesn't happen. It's usually your fault, the medical. Anything else? Be sure you compute your filtration pressure. Are you good in this computation? You good? Okay. Anything else? Are you ready to review? Oh, what was this? The other one?
Yeah, it's a different sheet.
Oh, okay. Do you want to talk about the other one? We have another reproductive worksheet. What is the answer? Did you? I don't remember this one, but I forgot. I gave you the other one. Do you have any question on this one? Laura has a question on number 13. Testosterone acts to blank the production of HDL, and estradiol will blank bone resorption or breakdown. So we know that estradiol is nothing but a form of estrogen. We have different types of estrogen: estriol, estrone, and estradiol, right? So you know that, just think, if we talked about the fact that estrogen promotes calcium absorption, right? So it will decrease bone breakdown. So our choices are either A or C. And testosterone is what type of organic compound? You got it from cholesterol, right? So what will it do? Will it increase production of HDL? It will increase, right? So it will be C. C. Okay. Anything else on that one? Sorry about that. Oh, one more thing I want to ask you. I don't know if you want. Do you want to take a lab examination? I will not if one person says no. I want to make sure that you feel it. It's just. Okay. that people don't even open the cat anymore because they're confident, which I think is just only renal system and reproductive system. But if you don't want to, then that's fine. Okay, so let's just go. It was just an option. Your comprehensive final exam starts with the endocrine system. Anything? What? Okay. So let's look at the endocrine system. You have your practice final exam also, right? Did you take a look at the practice final? There's the answer key in there, so you should be good. So for the endocrine system, of course, you must know what's a hormone. Endocrine system always has target organs because they have the receptors. And then for the different endocrine glands, you want to know ADH, oxytocin of the hypothalamus. Then, of course, they affect protein synthesis, you know that, right? So ADH, and then for the anterior pituitary, the hypothalamus, the releasing hormones and the inhibiting hormones is from the hypothalamus, okay? Releasing and inhibiting hormones. And then for the anterior pituitary, concentrate on the growth hormone. So everything about the growth hormone, right? Acromegaly, dwarfism, gigantism, and how it is a diabetogenic hormone. The FSH and LH are also included because we have that in your reproductive system. Okay? So I'm like combining all the way to the reproductive system. FSH, LH, you must also know. Then TSH. Prolactin, you know that it makes milk. So this one right here, table 18.4, I think is a good summary. You just go over it, you just look at it. Okay. You know oxytocin, you know ADH from the posterior pituitary, but they were made by the hypothalamus. So table 18.5. For the thyroid gland, you know that they're called thyroid hormones, T3, So you must know, by the way, there may be some pictures. So be sure for this one, because this is very obvious thyroid gland, maybe just the obvious ones. Okay? Like the pancreas, maybe not, I don't know. I'm still fighting with, we do common, okay? And for the thyroid, you must remember always the function. Iodine, figure 18.11, if you just look at this one, you look at the story, you just talk to yourself, already tells you everything. There's the follicle cell, iodine enters, see, and it uses it to make your thyroid hormone, which binds to tyrosine, so that you have T3, T4, and they're stored in the colloid right here. So just this picture already tells you. And this one, figure 18.12, this is a very good reminder of how your the hormones, they communicate with each other, right? The endocrine glands, the hypothalamus up here, the pituitary here, and then the thyroid gland here. Of course, the other hormone is calcitonin right here. So table 18.6, just know that T3, T4 is your metabolism hormone. So look at this one, just review the function of those hormones. Parathyroid, you already know the function of calcitonin and parathyroid. They oppose each other for calcium homeostasis. For the adrenals, aldosterone and cortisol. So table 18.8, concentrate on aldosterone, right here, and then cortisol. I'm sure everyone knows what epinephrine or epinephrine does. Those are sympathetic hormones. Then we go to the pancreas, the islets. So you must know the two terms related to the pancreas, the acinar cells that make your digestive system enzymes, right? Acinar cells or pancreatic acinar. And then here are the pancreatic islets, alpha and beta. Alpha makes glucagon, and then beta makes insulin. Okay? So their function in calcium homeostasis, table figure 18.19, right here, is what they do. So you must be familiar with the terms glycogenesis, glycogenolysis, all that. For the ovaries and testes, which is your test tomorrow. So I think you study the reproductive system last for your final exam because you've been studying on this one and the renal system. So save this for last. But of course, this will come out, the ovary and the testes. Okay? And look at, it says, by other organs and tissues, we talked about cholecystokinin, we talked about secretin, we talked about gastrin for the digestive system, okay? We talked about renin, erythropoietin, ANP. So all of these hormones we studied as we moved with our course. Of course, stress, you know your stress hormone is cortisol. So just, if you know what happens when you're stressed, you should, just reading this one, you should be good. Okay? Then we go to chapter 19, which is blood. Oh, hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, myxedema, cretinism, all of that. Okay. And then there's two types of diabetes, right? Diabetes mellitus, which is sugar, the insulin. And then the diabetes insipidus, which is ADH problem. So ADH insufficiency can lead to diabetes insipidus. Just the word diabetes means high urine output or large volume of urine. Okay? Mellitus means sweet. So your urine is sweet. That means you have it's sugar related. Okay, for blood, the components, this one, figure 19.1, you see it says here the function of blood, and then the components, you can just, oh, the most abundant is plasma. And of course, you must remember the three proteins. What does albumin do? Blood pressure. Globulin? Immunoglobulins. Fibrinogen? Clotting, right? Fibrin clot. And then you go over to the next one. Of course, you must remember its most abundant is water. And then everything else, you see, everything else is in the plasma part. Because this formed element is nothing but the cells themselves. So, what do you call red blood cells? Erythrocytes. Your white blood cells, leukocytes. And then your platelets are thrombocytes. Okay? Neutrophilia, neutropenia, you must remember that. Eosinophilia, eosinopenia. Don't raise your hand and ask me what those terms mean again. Leukocytosis, leukopenia, leukemia. Okay. Do you remember you have neutrophils when you have a new infection, acute. Monocytes, old infection. Lymphocytes, virus or fungal infection. Eosinophil, egg, allergy to egg or parasites, right? And basophils contain histamine and heparin. For red blood cells, erythropoietin. What do you need to make red blood cells? Hemoglobin, right? vitamin B12, folic acid, and hemoglobin has iron in the center. So iron, iodine. Read the questions very well. Like I don't read the questions very well sometimes, and I mark my answer wrong. Like I gave Courtney the wrong answer because sometimes your mind is playing tricks with you. So you go back and you read the question again. Okay?
Don't mess with the rest of it.
Figure 19.5. Figure 19.5 I think is a good summary. You know this. Heme, right? Bilirubin, transfer. There's no question about transferrin or ferritin. So this is detailed. What you need to know is hemoglobin, heme iron. You need this vitamin B12, folic acid, and then the bile pigments actually come from your red blood cell breakdown. Then white blood cells. Do you remember how they look like? Look at it, okay? In case there'll be pictures of this one. And you remember that the dirt, the specks of dirt is the platelet, and then the plasma is the white part, okay? I know that sometimes, in the past, we have like a section on, there'll be like a story, a 12-year-old suffered, came in with symptoms of this and that. The blood smear shows lots of this cell. Then they will show just one cell. Then you could be given choices. You know that your final exam is just Scantron, right? It's just multiple choice. You just choose which choices, okay? Okay, so here this one is good. Table 19.2, good summary. And then 19.3 is everything. What they do. Hemostasis. Hemostasis means blockage of, a stoppage of bleeding. Which people always raise their hand. There's no typo here, right? No, there's no typo because they're thinking homeostasis. So hemostasis is a real word. Okay? And it involves the fibrin. So you must know thrombin, right? And then fibrin, thrombosis, then fibrinolysis. What does aspirin do? It's a blood thinner. Okay, good. Will it be synergistic with the action of thrombin or antagonistic? Antagonistic. Same way. What does plasmin do? Plasmin is for lysis, right? So plasmin, when you're done, that's the last step, remember? Plasminogen, which is like the scissors that will cut the fibrin. Okay? Warfarin. What's warfarin? Or Coumadin is another blood thinner, right? Okay. I'm just thinking of the terms that usually we expect you to know. Warfarin, aspirin, Coumadin. Oh, blood typing. Don't forget your blood typing. Coagulation versus agglutination, right? Next, we go to the heart, chapter 37, 29. Chapter 20, right there. So you must know the location of the heart, the chambers of the heart, right atrium, right ventricle, the valves. You mastered this one. The flow of blood, systemic circulation versus pulmonary circulation versus coronary circulation, the valves, the AV valves, and then the semilunar valves. You know, tricuspid is right, mitral is left. The left is thicker than the right. Of course, the blood vessels, aorta, superior inferior vena cava, pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins. Which one carries oxygenated blood? Which one carries deoxygenated blood? Do you remember your chordae tendineae?
Mhm.
Okay, good. This one right here, systemic and pulmonary circulation, figure 20.7. Just review the flow of blood to and from the heart. Where is it going to go, okay? Coronary circulation means the blood that goes to the heart, right? Coronary arteries supply oxygenated blood to the heart. Coronary veins deliver it to the right atrium, okay? Through the coronary sinus. Okay, then we go inotropic, chronotropic. The heart is the same as any other muscle, except it has a higher demand for what? Calcium, right? Has more need for calcium, calcium-induced calcium release. And its favorite nutrient is fat. It's fatigue resistant. The pacemaker, SA node to AV node, to the AV bundle, to the right and left, to the Purkinje fibers. EKG. Normal EKG. Oh, what does P mean? QRS and P. So what's going on? And I know you don't like this, but if you master this one, you should be good. Okay? If there will be questions on this one, this picture will be included. So you should be good. What is the first heart sound? Because the first heart sound is because of closure of what? Second heart sound is closure of what? First is closure of the atrium, and then second is closure of the semilunar. Systole, diastole, stroke volume, or what does stroke volume mean? Cardiac output equals heart rate times stroke volume, right here. And to maintain, we want to maintain a normal, within normal limits of cardiac output. So if the stroke volume goes up, the heart rate goes down. Like the athletes, the reason why their heart rate is down is because they have a large stroke volume each heartbeat. So we want to keep it. So inotropic, chronotropic, okay? Positive, negative. What does congestive heart failure mean? When you have congestive heart failure, what are the symptoms that you predict? Okay. Tachycardia, bradycardia. Okay. And don't forget that the heart does not need the nervous system or the endocrine system that we're familiar with, right, to do its job. It has its own, the pacemaker. So it has its own nervous system. What's that like? You live in a common community. Some people do that. Common, what do you call it? They died. They drank the Gatorade. They have like a common communal living. That's the heart. The heart has its own community, right? But then if you need, like, you're running from someone who is going to propose to you, but you don't want him to propose to you, run. Now the nervous system comes into play. Right? Next we go to chapter 12. I really am not. Oh, what does arrhythmia mean? Arrhythmia means irregular. So I suggest you go over the different EKGs, the abnormal EKGs. How does AFib look like? How does atrial flutter look like? VFib, and then tachycardia, bradycardia. Those are the common ones. Block. When is it a block? Oh, embolism, embolism, thrombosis, you must know those terms. You go to blood vessels, you just need to know the three blood vessels, right? Artery, capillary, vein. What's the difference between the three? And then the normal flow of blood from the heart to an artery to a capillary to a vein. What does portal circulation mean? And then capillary exchange, meaning hydrostatic pressure, right? Same thing. Net filtration pressure is hydrostatic plus interstitial fluid, osmotic pressure minus this one. So you must remember what this, the direction, so that if you're asked to compute, you'll remember. Okay? And then, is this normal at the venous end or at the arterial end? Okay, remember arteries, aneurysm, veins, thrombosis, and embolism. You will never ever have a patient who has thrombosis of any artery. It's always a vein problem. Aneurysm never happens in the vein, only the arteries, because arteries have high pressure, okay? Then we go to, oh here, 21.12, the how do you control, regulate blood pressure, you have the chemoreceptors, bioreceptors, and it involves the medulla. Remember in Bite 41, the medulla is the cardiorespiratory center. Okay. And we already know these hormones, renin, angiotensin, we have ADH, we have AIP. Then for the different blood, oh, shock, what does shock mean? There's a hypovolemic shock. Oh, hypertension versus hypotension. Which one is more dangerous? Hypotension, not hyper. You know that you have some relatives who are hypertensive forever, and they're still okay. Hypo, you suffer consequences or symptoms right away. Because hypo means no blood is going there. Whereas hyper, there's still blood, it's just high blood pressure. Okay? Okay, so there may be questions on, let's say, the femoral artery. There's a blood, I don't know, there's an accident that cut the supply from the femoral artery. What organs do you think will be affected? So you must know. That's why we have to start with A and P with our directional terms, right? And our body regions. So where's the femoral artery? Where's the axillary? If you know your A and P, your terms, you have no problem with these specific blood vessels. Oh, the only thing, carotid, right? And then jugular. What else? Everything else matches with the body region. Brachiocephalic, brachio going here, cephalic, so that must be the branch of the artery that will separate and go to the upper extremity and the head, right? Brachiocephalic, which will then divide into the axillary to go down here, and then here is your carotid, brachiocephalic. Okay, so then we go to chapter 21, 22, respiratory system. Oh, tomorrow. Oh, Friday. I know, Monday. Okay, see you tomorrow.